Yes. Yes. Thank you.
So, Sheldon, thank you so much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership. But before we walk into the future, can you tell us a little bit about your own background? Where did you grow up?
Yes. Yes. Thank you a lot for having me on the show, Dr. Nick. I really appreciate it. So I come from a small town called Eldorado Park in Johannesburg. Yeah, and I basically grew up in I wouldn't say in a disadvantage, but I would say very poor environment, trying to make ends meet. You understand where sometimes both my parents were unemployed, and that was me. You understand, and I think that's where the entrepreneur drive came from. It's basically learning from just trying to get something going and and to bring money into the household. So I think coming from El Dorado Park has taught me tremendously in terms of my journey as an entrepreneur.
And tell us, Sheldon, what was your dream career when you started out in your early 20s?
Yeah, so I think my mother wanted me to be a doctor, and my father wanted me to be a boxer, and I ended up being a barber. But initially, my dream career was yeah, I was doing boxing, and I've done it for many years until I turned professional and just decided to leave the sport.
And Sheldon, who inspired you in your early days?
In my early days, I was inspired by different types of people, but coming from boxing, I mean, the number one person that I look up to personally was Muhammad Ali, and not only for his fight, but everything that he stood for as a person, to sacrifice his whole life and basically to stand against something that's pressing, you understand? And that's basically why I look up to him. It's not only because of his fight, but what he stood for.
And Sheldon, today you're operating one of the fastest growing brands in South Africa. In fact, yeah, it's probably the most inspiring story coming out of South Africa.
Yes. Yes.
You opened more than 50 branches. You expanded into neighboring countries and into Ghana, I believe.
Yeah.
But I believe
Yeah,
it
yeah,
has,
hopefully. Yeah.
yes, I believe it hasn't always been easy. Can you maybe tell us what was your turning point or turning points in getting to this point?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, coming from, I've had many failures before. I feel that my first attempt in opening a barbershop, I had the first barber in Eldorado Park. It was 10 years ago. And one of my partners back then just robbed me of basically the business. And we just went downhill from there. We closed that shop. Eventually, I came back 2014. I relaunched Legends. Again, there was more obstacles that came along because as an entrepreneur, you're bound to face things that doesn't to come your way. It's basically how you deal with it. You understand? So I wouldn't say that there was one specific thing that made a huge difference. I would say it's number of events that cause you to think and do things in a certain way. Understand? But I think one thing that still remains the same is the tenacity, is that drive to always want to continue learn, always want to continue to do better. So I think that's the one thing that has remained the same over the course of the year.
And tell us, Sheldon, you've got a very strong, very powerful brand name, Legends. How did you come
Yes.
up with that name?
So Legends actually came up. So 2011, what happened? We went out to the old age home. So the old age home is basically it's a house. It's basically like a home that all the old people, retired people, spend their last days at. You understand? So we went out to them and we just decided we're going to give free haircuts to them on on every second week. You understand? So we used to go out to them and just cut their hair for free and just learn from them their wisdom, you understand, and the jokes that they gave us, their life experiences, and 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 I think that has taught us tremendously uh, in terms of how to live our lives. But in short, I would say that there was this time where I thought we serving them on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. Why not name the barbershop after them? Because they are actually the legends of our community, and that's where the name Legends actually came from. So the name Legends if she comes from us serving the old people at old age home.
And Sheldon, I believe there's one secret that you applied early on that allowed you to outgrow your competitors. And I believe it has everything to do with connecting, right?
Yes. Yes, I think from the first time I started Legend, I started here on the stoop with just a clipper and a chair. And one thing, while cutting hair, I always ask myself, what am I going to do differently? Because there's so many barbers in my community doing the same thing that I'm doing. So basically, I went and visited with barbers and basically done some investigation on how are they doing it, and basically I compared it with what I'm doing differently. One thing that I saw is that with the nurses is that once a customer sits on my chair, my main objective is not to take that person's money, but is to build a relationship with that person. And that relationship will last longer than that few rands that they're giving me. So I think that's one of the main things, the core of our business is basically building relationships. And relationships, whether it be with that person on the chair or as myself, building a relationship with my team, I think that's the core of our business in essence.
And Sheldon, what would you say is driving you today?
So what's driving me today is people. I'm really driven by people. I'm driven by the one thing that I'm most passionate about is my employees. I mean, I spend so much time with them because I believe that you don't build a business, you build people, and then people build the business for you. So I think that's one thing. That's one thing that keeps me going on a daily basis is basically trying to upskill people, trying to build people, trying to get people thinking in a certain way, especially when it comes to employees and also the customers. The customer is basically our business. So we need to ensure always in terms of how we always want to improve our services, what's going to always make us let a customer come into our shops on a daily basis and choose why to get a haircut at Legend. And that's what's important for us.
Now, Sheldon, walking into the future, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
The future of leadership, I would say leadership has changed from the conventional way of being a leader. I think many years ago, people would lead with iron fist and think that is the correct way of doing it. But you understand that being into this generation that we are in, leadership is more about being able to serve. If you are being able to serve your people that's under you, you understand? I wouldn't say under you, but on top of you. Because we all know that the conventional way of being a leader is that a leader is on top and the leader looks down on his people. But how I see basically the future of leadership is that going forward, the leader has to sit at the bottom. So the leaders will have to sit at the bottom and basically serve upwards to his people. And he's going to be the biggest servant in his organization. And that's what I see leadership is. So servant leadership is definitely a key part in the next generation of leadership.
So Sheldon, what would you say? What have you learned from your own journey that's most important for building future leaders? What do we need to do to empower and encourage future leaders?
So I think one thing is very key to empower future leaders is that leaders need to understand, especially if you're trying to upskill somebody, you understand. You have to spend time with that person. You have to upskill that person in such a way that person is going to outshine you. And don't get afraid when that person outshines you because it's part of the journey. You understand? If you're going to be the smartest person in the room, then you have to question your leadership because that's a problem. That's a problem if you can do everything. But once you start upskilling your team, I want to start uplifting them and making them think in a certain way, and them being able to perform much more better work than you can. I think that's the core of leadership, and that's the reason why if you look at it biblically, because I'm a firm believer in Christianity, so that when it comes to the Bible, Jesus had 12 disciples, and out of his 12 disciples, he told them that they will do greater work when he's gone. You understand? So he left a long lasting, and for them to continue build this thing of Christianity. Up until today, Christianity is one of the biggest religions in the world. You understand? And that's what leadership is all about. Leadership is all about leaving something behind for the next generation to run with.
Now, Sheldon, you're not only operating a premium brand, you're also managing a large team, I believe more than 500 barbers. What does it you tell your team members about social media? How should they navigate social media to to help you build a brand?
Yeah, social media is very important. It's very important as a business as well. I think our business is built on social media. We hardly do outdoor ads, but Legends Barbershop has been fundamental in its growth through social media. Social media, from Facebook to Instagram and also Twitter, is basically been the gateway to reach our customers and to speak to existing and new customers. I think that's a platform we use the most in terms of just getting our message out there. So I think it's very important for each and every business to be out there. And also, if you're looking to build your personal brand, you have to go on the likes like LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a gateway to all the connections out there. And this is the reason why when you're having an interview, because of LinkedIn. You understand? I think LinkedIn is a platform that has opened many doors, and many people don't realize the power that LinkedIn has.
Yeah, well, you have a very strong presence on LinkedIn. I just saw one of your posts garnered 45,000 likes and probably more than 1 million views, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So, Sheldon, what is your advice for future leaders when it comes to challenges? What are some of the biggest challenges they should expect to encounter in their career?
So one biggest challenge that you face is 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 basically people rebelling against you, people not understanding your vision, people not willing to think the way you think. Because let's face it, not everyone is the founder of your business. You are the only founder of your business. Don't expect anyone to put in 100% because because they don't see the business like you do. And 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 people will leave, people will come back, people will people will come up with all these different things, but you know where you're going to as a business. You know what you want out of your business. So I think focus on focus on basically getting the right people in place, the right systems in place, and and when those obstacles come, you understand, because they're bound to come, they're bound to face you either or. You understand? It's just what you do when it comes.
And Sheldon, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are some of the new skills you would want to factor in?
It, the skills, definitely the skills that I see as especially as future leaders, I would say one of the main important things for me is humility. Humility, being humble in your approach when dealing with staff, when dealing with customers. People mustn't realize that you are the founder or the owner, that you are that person of this specific business. I think humility plays a big part, especially in my journey as well. You understand? Because I'm referring again back to the Bible, is that God talks about humility a number of times in the Bible, and says that once you humble yourself, God will lift you up. So I think humility plays a big role for all future leaders in our space. always remember that your business comes before you. You understand? And that's part of being humble. It's part of being humble because you realize that your purpose is more important than your existence. And 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 this is the thing what people don't understand. People tend to put themselves the before the business, before being there. But one thing you must understand that you are only called for this time. And once your journey is finished, you want to leave something behind. You understand? You want to leave a legacy behind. And I think that's one of the key things is having that skill of humility.
Now, Sheldon, as a mentor to future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
So I think one of the things that I have really spent tremendous time in is basically my team. So I'll give you a story of a guy that has been working with us for over 7 years. So when a guy started at Legend, he was barely making ends meet. You understand? He was one of those guys, but I could see his heart, I could see his discipline towards Legend. I've been mentoring him from the beginning of his journey. And today, that same guy that started 7 years ago, he is basically the head of our training and development. He has his own franchise store, and he's doing tremendous work in his community as well. You understand? Because he uplifts local barbers and basically places these barbers in training centers. So, so that's one of the stories that I can definitely share with you of people doing great work, you understand, through basically the mentorship that I've given him over the years. I think that's definitely important.
And Sheldon, are there any role models of leadership that you have encountered in your career and maybe in your learning journey that you would recommend future leaders should learn from?
Yes, yes, I would say, I look up to many of people. One of the person that I really look up to as, as a business leader is a guy named Ray Kroc. I know some people don't know Ray Kroc, but Ray Kroc is one of the founders of McDonald's, and basically see my business in that light that that Ray Kroc has. You understand? If it wasn't for Ray Kroc, McDonald's wouldn't have been in every country around the world. You understand? They look in every continent. So I think his leadership and what he stood for. You understand? He literally started out with nothing, and he built himself to something. Whereas if you look at the McDonald's brothers, they were just focusing on one store. So I think that's one of the leaders I definitely look up to personally. And basically there's few leaders out there also that I definitely look up to. You know, some of them are still alive today. If you look at like always read books of Simon Sinek, you understand his philosophy and basically the things that he stands for, the things that basically resonates with myself. You understand? So so those are the type of people that I definitely look up to that encourage me on a daily basis.
So speaking about Ray Kroc, and I'm sure you've seen the movie, The Founder.
Yes.
Can we expect a movie about legends one day?
Yeah, definitely one day. Definitely one day. When we reach our 2000 store.
There we go. So Sheldon,
Yeah.
how can our listeners connect with you and where should they follow you?
So one thing that you can do is make sure that you go on our social media platforms. On Instagram, our handle is legends_barber. On our Facebook, it is Legends Barbershop. On our Twitter, it's at legends_barber_. And our website is legends-barber.com. That's where you can find us. If you want to connect with myself, I am on LinkedIn. It's Sheldon Tatchell on LinkedIn, and I also have Instagram page, which is legend_Sheldon. So there's a platform that you can definitely find us on.
And last but not least, Sheldon, what is your message to the millions of kids out there that are now considering their career, that are battling to go forward? Where should they start? And what are the keys to success?
So I think one of the keys that you have to take on, you understand, that you have to have personally, is to believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will believe in you. So believe in yourself on that thing that you want to achieve. Because believe, it's something to do with yourself. You understand? It's something to do with what you want to achieve, what you want to become. I think your belief system has to be so strong that when people tell you that no, you understand, you are still going to continue your journey. If people tell you no to something, you don't hear them out because you still believe in yourself. So I think believe is definitely something that you have to start doing in yourself. And I would say that the next point will be start with where you are. A lot of people are looking on government. A lot of people are looking on basically funds. A lot of people are looking on basically somebody to give them money to the business. But the problem is that nobody is going to give you money. Nobody's going to believe in your dreams. Nobody's going to invest in your dreams unless you start investing in your own dreams. You have to believe. You have to start with what you have. I started with a chair and a clipper. That's all I had. I didn't have anything fancy. I started on the side of the road. So you personally need to start with what you have. And that, once you start with what you have to build yourself from there. And you realize that once you build yourself, you will see the possibilities happen. You understand? Because the Bible says once you take care of little, God will give you more. So take care of the little that He has entrusted you with and build your business from there. Thank you very much.
Well, Sheldon, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership and leading the way. You're an incredible inspiration. And I hope one day you can put all these lessons, these powerful lessons, into a book, into a leadership book.
Yes, definitely. I would say that it is definitely on the cards one day to write a book, but basically on the lessons that I have learned over the past couple of years. I will definitely look into that.
Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thanks a lot for having me.